There are few cinematic tools as effective and versatile as the good old-fashioned close-up, from calm and comforting to disorientating and alienating. And whilst lens choice, angle, and others certainly have their place, lighting for the face is an art all in itself. And whilst common filmmaking wisdom is to light for the wides first, it is when we punch in for the close-ups we can truly play and push the emotion of the scene. So much can be efficiently conveyed via the clash of darkness and light. And for those of you who are interested, in this case I'm lighting with a Godox SL60 complete with a Bowens mount softbox and grid. Whilst for camera I'm using my Blackmagic Pocket 4K cinema camera with a Lumix 12 to 35mm lens. Like most areas of film, there are several pre-existing and proven ways of lighting the face, all with their own emotional and tonal effects. So what are the key ways? First and simple most is the front and flat on. This almost entirely removes any shadow from the face, thus also removing much of the contrast, creating a fairly flat image. As we will see with many of the other demonstrated methods, the look can be used for different and often conflicting looks and feels. It can be quite stark and clinical, especially when paired with harsh and hard light. However, it can also be fairly flattering, especially if we pair it with a soft source of light or filters, such as black pro mists. We can lean further into this classical beauty look with our second method. By raising our light slightly above our subject and casting the shadows downwards, we achieve a look often referred to as paramount or butterfly lighting, named either for its common use in early Paramount pictures, or for the small butterfly-like shadow it produces below the nose and above the lips. The shadows it casts create strong definition of the cheekbones and jawline. As a result of its naturally flattering look, it was often utilised for beauty shots in classical Hollywood cinema, and still sees use today as an appealing and dependable look. Heading back to frontal lighting, however, we can add back contrast as soon as we start moving our light slightly to the side. This adds a much more naturalistic look, one we are probably more used to seeing in our own daily lives, often encountering others whose faces are naturally lit by windows, household light fixtures, or even the light bouncing off walls. But with more definition and contrast, we can make our subject more fully dimensional, and provide the scene with much needed depth and a place to draw the eyes. Moving the light even further so it's fully to the side of our subject, we again up the contrast and create a further heightened and stylistic look. This division of the face is often used to communicate a character's internal conflict, by quite literally splitting the face in half. The eyes are two of the strongest communicators of a character's feelings. By covering one of them, we struggle more to get a proper read on the character, thus instilling a feeling of mystery and maybe even being a little sinister. When it comes to the eyes, however, by lighting straight from the top, we cast them fully into shadow. Again, by hiding the eyes, we create notions of mystery and threat. In addition, given that top lighting occurs most commonly when we are inside, I find there is something industrial and almost claustrophobic about it. DP Gordon Willis would perfect its use when lighting for the Godfather trilogy, a choice that earned him the ire of the film's producers and the moniker the Prince of Darkness. I'd also argue that whilst being well suited to creating mysterious and threatening auras, it can also communicate feelings of great sorrow and loss, the eyes great wells of sadness. So, on a less sad and more painterly note, if we move our top light again to the side of our subject, while still being raised above them, we can create what is called Rembrandt lighting. Named for the Dutch master painter Rembrandt van Rijn, this look aims to replicate the style of lighting often seen in his paintings. In this case, the small triangle of light that appears on one of the cheeks. This look provides a balance between the much more naturalistic and flattering looks of more frontal lighting, with the more psychologically tense and contrasty look that comes from lighting from the side. Moving over to the opposite side of our subject, we create a look known as backlighting. When backlighting is employed by itself, it creates silhouettes, fully separating the subject from the background. Due to the separation it gives us, backlighting is often employed in conjunction with other lighting techniques to give a shot depth and help guide the eye. And whilst a full silhouette can again be quite mysterious, with a sufficiently powerful source and light wrapping around on the front, we can create an almost angelic halo type effect. Also, just another small note on backlighting, especially if you're trying to go for that quite heavenly type effect. If the subject's ears are quite visible or pronounced, they can often appear quite red or translucent. If you don't want this, simple, quite quick fix is to simply just place some black tape behind the subject's ears. We can also use hair lighting, where, as the name would suggest, places emphasis on the subject's hair. This again creates both separation from the background and an angelic type effect. This, like the earlier mentioned butterfly look, is a favourite and constant staple of glamour shots. But, bringing things back to the moodier side of things, we come to edge lighting. Again, a lot of definition and separation from the background. It's a simple look, but I find it adds a lot of value. A simple way to achieve this shot, and most other forms of backlit shots, if you don't really have access to a ton of lighting equipment, is simply to place your subject between your camera and what lighting you have available. Then, if you film the darker side of the face, boom, a natural edge. Lastly, we come to perhaps the boldest and most stylized of all lighting looks, lighting from beneath. This look is most strongly associated with horror movies due to its unsettling and disturbing vibe. This is in large part due to the fact that underlighting isn't very common in either nature or our daily lives. If you think about most sources of light, they are either above us, like the sun or house lights, or from the side, like windows and lamps. So when we cast the shadows upwards, it really emphasizes the brow and cheeks, but keeps the rest in darkness, creating a somewhat uncanny effect. Again, this isn't always necessarily the case. DP Robert Richardson often bounces a powerful light from a source located below his subject. This creates a softer and more flattering glow, filling in the face quite softly and nicely. Of course, none of these looks need to be used only by themselves. 3-point lighting has long had its place as one of cinematography's most dependable techniques. Even combining just two of these looks can have interesting and dynamic results. And of course, sometimes, less is more and one is all you need. Not to mention that by placing modifiers between our subject and source of light, like diffusion or other fun things such as water or other objects or bits of environment, like a branch or Venetian blinds, we can texture our image and further infuse our close-ups with emotion, theme, and atmosphere. So there we have it, a pretty broad look at the ways of lighting faces. There's a lot more to it than I've covered, mainly quality of light and also colour. But really with lighting, I found that the best thing is just to go out and practice it for yourself, but hopefully there's some looks here that you can draw and build upon. So I hope you found that useful. If not, well, it's the end of the video. It's too late, it's over, but I got a lot of good practice out of it, and hopefully this will be the first of many, many more videos. See you about.